Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 sewing patterns that I have made before that I will not be making again. Now, this is in no way trying to trash the patterns or the designers or anything like that. I just want to share with you things that I have tried for myself that have not worked out. And I've seen a few videos similar to this from other makers, and I think it's really interesting when people are honest both about what works really well for them, but also the patterns, the projects that just don't work out. So I have 5 patterns today, sort of 6, and I want to share why they didn't work out, and also I want to share patterns that I think I would recommend in their place that sort of accomplish the same look, the same silhouette, but that I have had better luck with. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the first pattern that I have made before and will not be making again are the Style Arc Bob pants. Now, this is a really popular pattern. It's that classic barrel-shaped leg silhouette with an elastic waist and pockets. It's a very basic, very trendy design, and loads of people have made this pattern. It didn't work for me for a few reasons. The first one is that the pockets are sewn into the side seam, but they're not anchored at the waistband. And so that means that they just kind of flop to the front or the back. They move around a lot, which is kind of annoying. And I know that you can sort of redraft the pocket bag shape to make it one that sits anchored within the waistband. But for beginners or for someone that's just following the instructions step by step, I don't really like that result. Also, I found that the pockets were placed kind of low on the body, and I found that the rise of the pants was a little bit short for me, as well as the inseam. For my size, they seemed a little bit short, kind of overall. And again, you can definitely make these adjustments. I could increase the rise, I could increase the inseam, I could anchor the pocket bags. I could do all of these things to alter the pant pattern. However, I don't think that I'm going to. And this pattern is one that it's just not for me. Now, there is a pattern that I think achieves a similar silhouette with that barrel-shaped leg that personally I think has a better fit overall, better instructions, and anchored pockets. And that is the Fray Pants by Emily Lightly. This pattern actually has 3 different views. So you get a wide leg, a sort of barrel or taper leg, and then a short. And I have now made all 3 versions of the pattern. I really love the instructions. I love the pockets. They're like slant or slash pockets that are anchored in the waistband, so they're not flopping around, they're not going anywhere. And if you were looking for an elasticated waist, woven, sort of tapered barrel leg pant pattern, I would definitely go for the Fray pants over the Bob pants. The next sewing pattern that I have made before and will not be making again is the very popular McCall's M7969 Dress. This pattern sort of blew up a couple years ago in the Instagram sewing community world, and it's just a gathered waist, kind of like layered front V-neck with really big poofy sleeves or kind of a looser bell-shaped sleeve. And that silhouette is still really popular, I think. The poofy sleeves haven't gone anywhere, and the gathered skirt dresses haven't gone anywhere. It's a very popular pattern. And there are a few reasons why it didn't particularly work for me. One, I think I made it out of a desire to participate in the trend, the popular pattern, and it's a silhouette that isn't really suited to my personal style. I actually didn't end up wearing this. after making it. I think that the poofy sleeves and the front, the way that it layers, it didn't really stay closed, so it would kind of fall open as you were moving. I know that you could sew that down, but as a design feature, it just didn't feel like something that I could move around comfortably in without being really conscious of how it was fitting on my body. I also didn't do anything to the length, and I felt that it came up really short on me. I'm 5'7" for reference, and so I did mention the last pattern came up short on me as well. I'm not sure who the height that they're drafting for, but that's something to consider in my personal, critique or experience. This dress did feel quite short and wide, and the poofy sleeves, I don't know, I don't feel that it did me any favors. Also, one more note about the sewing of this dress. The front pieces and the gathered skirt where they join, I found they kind of made like an arch shape, and I unpicked it and did it again and still had the same issue. It didn't go straight across. So that's, something else to consider. I had a hard time with it. Also, if you choose to include pockets, they are those floppy inseam pockets. So yeah, not a pattern that I will be making again. So the M7969 didn't work out for me, but I would like to share a dress pattern that has worked well for me that kind of accomplishes a similar silhouette. That is the Adeline Demeter dress. Now, it doesn't have those puff sleeves, but again, I found that that just isn't something that goes with my personal style, and so I do prefer the kind of traditional, just short sleeve cut. But it does have the gathered skirt, and it has the loose, flowy, casual feel. Both are made for woven fabrics, and the Adeline Demeter dress comes as a tank top, a t-shirt, or a tank top dress, or a t-shirt dress, so you have a little bit of variety there as well. And I've made it as the dress and top, and I really love the pattern. I think that the instructions are great, the finishings are great, and if I want a loose, gathered, casual woven dress, I would go for the Adeline pattern. So the third pattern that I've tried and will not be sewing again, I actually have two that I want to mention because they're in the same category, and I made them both in search of the same garment. So the Fiber Mood Betty jeans and the Megan Nielsen Dawn jeans are both jeans patterns that I tried. They didn't work out. I won't be making again. And I'll just kind of briefly touch on why for each one. So for the Fiber Mood Betty jeans, I found that the instructions were kind of sparse, and jeans are a really complex garment, especially for a beginner. I also found that the sizing was a little bit tricky. The size that I chose based on my measurements, the end result ended up being huge, like really, really comically large. And I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know how Fiber Mood sizing is across the board, if they like run a little bit oversized, or if it was just this particular pattern and the way that it fit my body. But it was really comically large, kind of all over. And the Megan Nielsen Dawn jeans, while they do have much better instructions, I found kind of the opposite problem to be true. I chose the size based off of my body measurements, and they were way too small. I know that that particular jeans pattern is meant to be quite fitted, but the suggested size for me, I couldn't even get it, up over my hips. I had to go up, I think, 2 sizes to get a functioning pair of pants, and even then, there was very, very little give in the design and the fit. I made a couple pairs, and I wore them enough to see if they would relax, and they just really didn't. They never became a comfortable pair of jeans for me. So both the Betty and the Dawn jeans are sewing patterns that I will not be revisiting. And if you've been around my channel at all, it will be no surprise to you that I highly rate the Adeline Helen jeans, both the straight leg view and the wide leg view. and also the Daughter Judy worship jeans. Both the Helen and the worship jeans have fantastic instructions, fantastic finishings. The fit right off the, size chart without any adjustments is great on both. I will say that I think the worship jeans are a little bit curvier. I felt that the waist to hip curve was more dramatic and the Helen jeans were much more fitted, and so there wasn't as much room in the hip, which is, a design feature, but both are very comfortable. I made the straight size in both of them and I love the fit. The worship jeans have a tapered leg, which is quite slim at the bottom, or a flare option. And then the Helen jeans have a straight leg and a wide leg and also a narrow leg. So those are jeans patterns that I would definitely give a try. Number 4. So this is a sewing pattern that I made, but not 100% to a completed project. And that is the Merchant & Mills Clementine skirt. I'll see if I can find some pictures of me. I think maybe I took a video of like the try-on phase before attaching the waistband, and it just really wasn't good. There are some design features of this skirt that I think are interesting that aren't things that I was aware of going into making it. I think at this point in my sewing journey with more experience, looking at the line drawings for the pattern, I would have seen and noticed these features now, but at the time I, didn't take note of it. The main one that I found a bit challenging was that the side seam of the skirt is like really far back. And so what ends up happening is the two front panels together, the front as a piece, ends up being much bigger than the two back pieces, or the back piece, which is really strange. I think typically with skirts and pants, the majority of women's bottoms patterns that I have made, there's more room in the back than the front, which makes sense. And it was just really strange because then the pocket opening pulls way too far back, if that makes sense. It feels like it's much further back than it should be. I also found that the sizing didn't really work out for me. I think that if I was to make this successfully, I would need to grade significantly from the hip measurement to my waist measurement in order to get a comfortable fit. When I tried this on before attaching the waistband, the hips fit really close to the body and the waist was just huge. It was massive. And at that point, I had already done the pockets and everything. And so if I were to take in significantly at the waist, it would have really messed up the pockets, especially since they were already so far towards the back of the body. Yeah, I had high hopes for this pattern because I really like the style, but ultimately it just didn't work out for me. A skirt pattern that I would recommend that has a similar style and similar design features, but that I had much more success with, is the Maker's Atelier Maxi skirt. It has, again, like I said, a very similar style. You could make it in a denim such as the Merchant & Mills Clementine skirt is kind of marketed as. I actually made mine recently in a suiting fabric and it was really successful, but the fit overall was great. I did make a muslin, but I didn't need to. I didn't make any changes. And the hip to waist ratio was really comfortable. Instructions were really solid. And it actually has options where you can choose to have an opening for the bottom slit at the back or the front or both. And so I think that if you shorten the length a little bit and chose the slit placement, whether you wanted it in the front or the back, you could achieve something very similar aesthetically to the Clementine skirt, but in my experience, a much more successful sewing and fitting experience. So I would highly rate the Maker's Atelier Maxi skirt pattern. So number 5 of sewing patterns that I will not be making again are the Vickysos Adeline trouser. This is another pattern that was really popular for a while. I saw a lot of people making it, and I believe I bought it when it was on sale, like through Amazon. Everything was half off of the Vickysos patterns on Amazon. But when I got it, it only had one pattern piece in there, so like half of the pattern was missing. And I had some back and forth with Vickysos, and eventually I got another pattern sent to me. It took quite a bit of trying actually to get the replacement, but eventually I did and I made it. And unfortunately, after all of the waiting, I was quite disappointed. I remember the instructions not being great. It didn't tell you along the way when you were supposed to serge or finish seams, and so there were a few moments during the making process where I thought, oh shoot, I should have serged this before sewing this, or that sort of thing. It didn't feel as comprehensive as some of the other pattern designers that I have sewn from. I think if I made them now, because of my greater amount of experience, I would have known what to do where, but at that point I didn't, and so that was a little bit frustrating. I also think the fit was just kind of okay. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible. And overall, I was kind of unimpressed. I was unimpressed with the acquisition of the pattern, the experience with the instructions, and then the fit was it was okay. So I don't think I would make those again. However, if I want to make a pair of trousers, I definitely would make the by Hand London Jackie trousers. These have a huge size range. You can tailor them to sit kind of high at the waist or wear them looser and lower if you want. The length is great, their instructions are great, and yeah, I feel like for a pair of pleated trousers, way better. Also, I don't think that I mentioned, but the Vickysos trousers did have one of those inseam flappy pockets, and the by Hand London Jackie trousers have a much more stable slash pocket that is not going anywhere. Definitely recommend the Jackie trousers over the Adeline trousers. So those are 5 patterns that I didn't have a great experience with, and 5 patterns that I would suggest to anyone considering making one of these garments instead. I hope that was interesting. I really love when others share what works for them and what doesn't. It's great to share information on both ends. And so I would love to know in the comments below which sewing patterns didn't work for you and which patterns you would make again and again. I think it's really important that we share honest feedback about these things. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're all doing really well, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. I will see you in the next one.